Hey everyone, this is Carrie Cropley, and tonight I'm going to talk about We Are What We Teach. I've thought about this project for a few days now. I just thought about the course overall and how thought-provoking it has been for me to think what my philosophy of education is. Thought back to when I was a child and my experiences, as we had to write about in our discussion boards. What it was like to have two parents teaching in education at that time, one being an administrator, my father as well. And then for me to take college courses and have him as a teacher, and then me having two separate sets of children 10 plus years apart. So I've seen what my older two have gone through and learned and seen in the public school system. And now I'm seeing what my younger two, who are 10 and 11, are seeing and dealing with in the public school system, and seeing what their test scores, from MEA test scores and the standardized testing that is done, those scores, and comparing them to my other two children. And for me now, working in a school system versus working in a social service field, I have come to the conclusion I have two different philosophies. I have a personal one that somewhat over the edge a little bit, and I have a professional one based on knowing the laws around education, federal and state level, and school policies and what's expected of schools, and that's all based on funding. I'll start with my personal ones first. I can tell you from my own experiences growing up in a family centered around education and knowing the amount of homework I had and the amount of pressure that was put on me by my parents. And I'm thinking that's for two reasons. One, to save face, so I got good grades because my father worked in the system. And two, because my parents always held us to a higher standard and wanted us to succeed at everything we did, and education was very important to them, whereas both of them were teachers. And then seeing my older two children, who are 18 and 19 now, and were in the top 4 of their graduating classes, scored extremely well on their SATs, free, scholarships, full boats to college. And I have two other children that are younger, that I didn't do anything any different that I can think of myself personally as parenting, what the expectations are, reading to them at a very young age, playing music, doing the flashcards at home, having books, them exposed to books all the time, no cable TV, no video games allowed in my house. Their level of learning based on test scores is much, much lower than my older two children. So that leads me to believe that there's something different in what is being taught in the schools right now. From working in their school last year, I was able to witness some things that I struggle with as a parent, but not as a professional. I struggle with students that are allowed to flip over desks and spit and yell and throw things, whether it be in gym or art class or in the cafeteria or in their classroom, and if they need a timeout they can run out the door. I struggle with that in elementary school, my children seeing that, and them being held to a different standard because they don't have a diagnosis that allows them to behave that way. And when they don't toe the mark just a little bit, they're backed into a corner or lose recess or all these other disciplinary actions that happen, which I understand. However, it makes it hard for me, I think, especially as a single parent, when they come home and they act out and